as a form of help, and so
babysitting or something.
Babysitting. From a very young age, and then of course concerns start to develop. But are these digital devices they nurturing or hindering?
I think largely these are what we call as tools, right? So you can use tools for positive usage, you can use tools for negative usage and things like that.
Sure.
Most of the parents that we deal with, or I deal with in some of my talks and all that, they largely are more functional in their approach. What I mean by functional. So for example, when it comes to studies, no time limit. Go ahead, use it, research, whatever, and things like that. But when it comes to recreation, like playing video games or watching YouTube, 30 minutes or 1 hour, etc., and things like that.
Okay.
So it's largely dependent on where parents' value lies. So most of the time that I interact with parents and my work with parents, you realize that they are largely functional.
Yes.
So that's why, in a sense, it can be also nurturing, it can be hindering.
It can go both ways.
Yeah.
So it cuts both ways.
So you're saying that it really depends on what it is used for and how long it is used for?
Correct. What is it used for? How long is it used for? The purpose and all that. And obviously, there are some physiological issues that you have to take note of. Okay. So for example, recently in our COVID situation, we realized that there are a lot of newspaper articles coming out about, you should take care of your eyesight. You should spend max 20 minutes looking at screens and things like that. So these are what we term as physiological issues associated with device use. And actually, what I found was most parents know about this. So they manage based on their, what they value the usage for, etc. Plus all the physiological concerns associated with this use.
Hey, that one is easy. After you have 20 minutes of screen time, right, you just move the iPad further.
They will just fine.
Then the eye is exercising. No? Does it count?
No.
But you strap your child to the chair.
Okay.
Yes. If not, it won't work.
So the recommendation is actually 20 minutes. Then after that, you rest for a while.
For how long, though?
For about, say, 20 seconds and all that.
Oh,
and after that,
that's it.
Yeah. 20 seconds, really? Hey, that's very doable, though.
Yeah, that's a little too doable for me. I think that's like...
I think this applies.
I
think this also applies to us adults, lah. We use our devices quite a bit as well.
Yeah, true.
Adeline, to add on any of that, based on what your results from the study have concluded,
we can share some examples. So, we actually found that a mother discovered that her 4-year-old son liked to take photos using her iPhone, right? Because he liked to view the world through its lenses and everything.
That is nice.
Yeah. So the mom saw that and she bought him a toy camera. Yeah, so when the son actually fidgets with the toy camera, it fosters his fine motor skills and it also piques his curiosity about the world.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a great example that you bring up.
Yeah, this is interesting because I have, because of the hours that I keep on the show,
right.
I tend to get up very early. I have busted my 7-year-old. He makes his little documentaries, he calls them. And he films himself. And he's kind of narrating, here's my day, and this is what I'm doing, and then he makes his little episodes.
That's kind of cool.
And you found it favorable, right?
I have to say, I actually was kind of impressed. I was very impressed, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's an example of, when you ask whether it's nurturing or hindering. So it largely also depends. So in your case, you found that you want to groom your child in, let's say, documentary production and things like that. That's helpful.
It stems, though, from his, I feel, and we will definitely talk about this, like almost an addiction to being with the screen. So because it was locked, the only thing he could access was the camera and the video. So I want to come back to this, but secretly I was kind of pleased that he was doing this.
Hey, two things. One, he probably did really great videos. That's why you were pleased.
He's a born entertainer like his father.
There you go. And two, hey, influencers can earn a lot of money. So you might be onto something there.
Am I going to force him into being a YouTuber?
Could this be early retirement for Shehzad?
Yes.
I don't know. But hey, guys, we're going to head on over to Facebook Live. Come and join us at facebook.com/1FM913. And remember, when you chime in, give us your questions. Ask the experts who are in the studio with us. It might just win you this amazing Knox Dine in the Dark gift card that's worth $100 from giftano.com. Come and join us. Hey everyone! Welcome to
Hello.
our Brightside chat. We have with us two great individuals. We've got Associate Professor Dr. Jiow Jhee, the program leader for the Digital Communications and Integrated Media Degree Program at SIT, and you are also a member of the Media Literacy Council.
We've also got with us Ms. Adeline Tay. She's a Year 2 student in a Digital Communications and Integrated Media Degree Program at SIT, and she has also got some experience in early childhood teaching, and we've been talking about the digital age and preschool kids in particular, and how that might affect them. And so far, you guys are saying it's not necessarily a hindrance. That might be the initial reaction parents have, but actually it's dependent on how we regard it, right?
Yeah, how you use it, how you train your child to use it. And especially in our study, when we deal with preschoolers 4 to 6 years old, and that's the age where you really need to gatekeep it properly. So that's largely depends on how the parents have journeyed with the child in the device usage.
So you mentioned about this gatekeeping. I mean, to the both of you, how can parents actually help their children be digitally safe and also protect their kids against harmful usage with these devices?
I think one way to start us off is to distinguish what it means by digital device use versus ownership. You know, I always get the question. I think one of the questions you asked earlier was, you know, when can I pass my child a smart device or something like that. So we always find that parents always should start off with usage. That means let the child use it for a certain period of time for a certain purpose. In our study with preschoolers, we actually interviewed parents on how they intentionally use the digital device to kind of like develop children's what we term as learning domains, area, skills and competencies that are frequently talked about or used in the early childhood setting. Adeline does have some examples to share.
Yeah, so we found that watching media provides children with common topics to talk about with their peers. So this actually cultivates their language, but also their social emotional development, because they learn to relate to their peers like that.
I think if I remember some of these fancy terms, right, then I don't feel so guilty about shoving the device in front of our kids. I'll be like, this is, you know, to enhance and improve your social, what is it called? Social
emotional
I like how that sounds. Social emotional development.
It'd be scary if your kid said that to you.
And they said, I agree, mommy. Now give me the iPad.
Yeah, so we have another interesting example. So this parent actually said that his child was inspired by a YouTube channel to learn gymnastics. So after like she watched some videos about gymnastics, so she asked the dad to sign her up outside for gymnastic classes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
This is I mean, I like this is the positive side of it, right? Where digital use is now, and I relate to an example of my child as well, who kind of uses it to make documentaries. I say that a bit sarcastically, but yes, it is inspiring the kids in a positive way. But there is also the other side, and of course that comes down to parents as well, and how we monitor and how we control the settings, right?
Yeah, so it largely boils down to parents, especially when you talk about children around 4 to 6 years old. Right? So we're looking at parents are the one that kind of hold the device in a sense. Actually, at 4 to 6 years, some of the kids, we realize they really do not know how to use it at first, because that would probably be the first introduction to the device. And so parents do have that responsibility to teach them and things like that.
I have a comment here from Will, who says the problem is not the tech, it's the parents.
So true.
To a certain extent, I mean, that is also true. I mean, as you say, the gatekeeping is very important, Adeline.
Yes.
Yeah, so when you talk about gatekeeping, parents at that, especially when you're dealing with very young children, should start with usage. That means and not pass the phone over to the child
and let them do what they want.
And do what they want. Oops.
Yeah, thank goodness I wasn't part of the study. Very embarrassing.
I think you would agree, Lavi, the temptation, especially when our kids were young and we had something else we had to do, is that you quickly just hand the phone over, like, okay, just watch something.
Yes.
And I think what you're saying is be a little bit more discerning about that.
Yeah, so for example, I had cases where this 8-year-old child, the mother of the 8-year-old child came to me and said, I'm having this problem. Every time I take away the device,
it's a meltdown.
Really explode kind of thing.
Sure,
and
sure.
it actually started at the preschool age, where it was a habit that the mom gave the device
Okay.
to the child as a kind of babysitting tool.
Yeah.
So the child is like consuming all sorts of media. What we are concerned about is that the kind of media that consume, the parents don't know what's happening.
Right.
Right.
Whereas
right.
in our study, we do have examples where parents were very intentional. Okay, you can only watch from this basket of videos or
Right,
etc.
right.
Things like that.
I try to do that, but sometimes, like for YouTube, it just goes to the next thing which I think is
Yeah.
relevant,
Yeah.
and I dip past the device to get some babysitting done.
Or they press something, on the side.
Correct,
Yeah,
correct. I mean,
yeah.
we do have the family setting
Yes.
for YouTube channels,
Yes.
but even then, I still find that I need to be present and like, what are you watching? Watch a bit with them, gauge, see if it's okay.
How many versions of Wheel on the Bus? are
Sorry?
there out there?
Kids have this thing, like a song of the moment or a video of the moment that they need to watch over and over again.
Oh, yeah. Repetition. They
I
love
just
it.
came back from Japan on the plane ride, right? 6 hours from Tokyo. My youngest, who is 5, played Mario Brothers, the movie, 3 times nonstop because he loved it. 3 times nonstop. Yeah.
It's amazing how they love that repetition. Amazing.
Do you have any would it be safe to say poor examples, based on your studies, your interaction with the parents and all that? No names need to be mentioned.
Examples as
Of how the parents have actually used the devices with their kids, and you see like resulting problems like the meltdown that you witnessed that a parent shared about their child. So far, okay?
I think there was one. Was it a Nerf gun incident?
Oh, yeah, from our study.
Yeah, from our study.
No, that one was because, like, they are more wary about boys watching violent content.
Yes.
Because they feel that they are more inclined to roleplay using Nerf guns
And it
everything.
desensitizes them, right? They think that actually it's no big deal. They talk about, we'll just kill him, or, we'll just die, it's fine.
Right.
You know?
Trivializing it.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
right.
yes. Okay. Well, we'll be heading back in just a bit, and we have more questions. So we want to encourage you to keep your questions coming in. Remember, we've got a really great Knox Dine in the Dark gift card. This is worth $100 from Giftano, and Giftano.com itself would be a great place for you to start off if you are still trying to do your Christmas shopping. It is Singapore's leading gifting platform. There you can find really specially created experiences that you can gift to your loved one. And for Knox Dine in the Dark, oh my goodness, a gastronomic journey where you can enjoy modern cuisine, European cuisine, 12 mouth-watering dishes, but in a pitch black dining room. You haven't done it, right? Have you done anything like that? Go and do it. I've done it. It's really, really quite interesting.
And if you're using a device, you'll get busted very quickly.
yeah, because it's dine in the
Because
dark.
supposedly in the dark. is
Yeah,
it?
they tell you have to put your phones away. I think they take your phones or they make you put it away. I can't remember now whether it's in a locker or something, so that they can maintain that pitch dark setting for the dining
I think
room.
there'll be some adult meltdowns right there.
Maybe not. Then they offer them drinks. Have a drink. All right, so we're heading back on air. Come and join us for this discussion continues.
Good times, greatest hits.
Yeah. And here we are talking with our studio guests. So we've decided it's Dr. G, yes?
Yeah,
Prof
sure.
G. Prof G.
Oh, Prof
Prof G
G.
is fine.
Sorry, Prof
Yeah.
G. I was thinking of the G-Man because you were saying like you were hoping that he would go for that. And also Miss Adeline Tay. And they're sharing with us about, digital usage for preschoolers. These are from the ages of
4 to 6 years old.
4 to
Yeah.
6 years old. So my youngest, Warren, would fall under that category.
We have a message here from Eileen. If I
Okay.
can just read that out
Yes.
quickly. She says her daughter's 4 years old and I'm still in control of her social media. She's got social media. We only let her watch TV programs. We don't let her use the hand phone by herself. Most of the time, we share with her only. Any thoughts on that? I mean,
That practice.
Yeah, I'm guessing when she means social media, as in for her to go on social media rather than have an account. But
Yeah, I mean, in our study, we have parents who actually, social
accounts.
media. I mean, I think in our case, that particular parent created or helped the child with the social media account. So I
Right.
think it was the parent's
Wow.
social media account. It was highly supervised.
okay.
And yeah, so what was it?
Because the daughter was a dancer. Yeah, so she wanted to document her dancing journey, and she wanted to learn new dance moves as well.
It.
Yeah.
So like in the post uploaded, right, she'll try to attract sponsors.
Okay.
So the parent kind of like monitored the usage, help with the setup and stuff like that. Yeah.
And also to protect the child, from anyone who tries to message her or anything like that.
Okay,
right?
that's a different. Yeah, okay, I understand now. That's a different sort of a usage of the device. There is a means to an end kind of thing.
Okay,
I understand. Quick other one from Su Cheng. His solution to the problem is keep the charger.
Keep the
It's very interesting because in one of my talks when I give to parents and all that, and then in this group of parents, one of them say, it's very easy for me to manage my child's screen time. I only pass the device when it's 5% battery and things like that.
So that's painful, man.
That's a last line.
Very soon, that child is going to realize. You mean that percentage can be higher from the battery?
But it'll be a whole new world. Imagine the happiness when you find out actually there's 95% more of this.
Oh, they discover the charger does that. Wow, joy, man. Hey, actually, that's a really interesting tip. The charger thing. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
I might actually use that.
No, so in that group of parents, another parent raised that, well, if you actually want to train the child in self-control, self-regulation skills, then that 5% method may not work permanently.
Yeah.
Right? You want to groom the child to be able to learn to practice self-control and stuff like that. Yeah.
Kids and self-control, my goodness. If we can unlock that.
Yeah. I mean, what do you have to share about that based on what you've encountered? Does the idea of being better able to self-control come with age, or there are techniques that we can teach to our kids or do with our kids?
I think it's a learning process. So one of the what we call learning domains that we look at is social emotional development, and that also involves an element of self-control.
Right.
So that has to be groomed from a young age. So I mean, when I started out, I do use some of those apps or the inbuilt operating system on the phone to kind of manage time for my kids' use and stuff like that.
How old are your kids?
But after a while, how old are my kids? They range from 12 to 19. So I have 4 kids.
Okay. So they're all good with it? Good self-control?
All good. It all started out with a certain measure of control, and then slowly you release it and stuff like that.
So you did it, you used the apps function to do it?
I used the OS and the app function to do it.
Fair enough.
So it was a set limited time. See, I'm trying to get tips because I know I will need this.
So I set certain time limits and all that. And then once they have proven themselves responsible in the usage and all that, I kind of let it off. And then most of my kids now are free, in a sense they are not under any time restriction and stuff like that.
Adeline, you've been involved in early childhood education. I mean, there's a fine line, isn't there, with preschool about how much, within the school confines, I mean, how much device time that the kids should have, right?
Actually, we don't let the children touch the screens at all. Sometimes, in my case, when I teach lessons, I will use the iPad mini to play music in the background.
Okay, so only you would have it, not the kids.
Yes,
okay,
but
I understand.
I wouldn't let the children touch or look at the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is your stand. You feel that it's better for them to be present, and you try not to involve like the devices in their interactions or even in the development. Okay. Yeah. Actually, music is a great thing because music itself is a powerful, learning, teaching tool and developmental tool as well. But yeah, you can use the device in a way that is positive as well. Okay, play the music. I'm sorry, no, the screen broken, but the sound okay.
So, what tips do you have for us to that can harness digital devices for kids' development? What other tips are there?
I think for when you're talking related to our study, you're talking about the 4 to 6 year old.
Yeah.
Firstly, parents really need to gatekeep properly. So intentional use and all that. So what I mean by intentional use is parents have to be present, because it's not just letting them watch, but also monitoring their watching and all that.
Right.
And also, one of the things is you may be able to seize the opportunity and turn into a learning activity.
Right.
So, for example, you saw this, and we had one incident where a child learned about, say, volcanoes, paleontology and all that, and parents can kind of like supplement that with whatever the children has
Sure.
watched. Yeah, so that's one area. The other thing, and interestingly, in our study, we discovered is the larger family ecosystem, right? The siblings and the grandparents also have effect on the way the parents manage it.
Oh, what do you mean by that? Share with us.
Adeline, you want to share something?
So there are like, it can go both ways. The siblings can either help or hinder. So in the example where the siblings help, it's like parents ask the older siblings to keep an eye on the younger siblings' digital device usage. So for example, there was this mother that allowed her son to communicate with like acquaintances through the chat function in Roblox. Yeah.
Okay.
So she'll task the older brothers to like add these users that he knows for him.
Or like vet through.
Yeah, vet through the users.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
that's good.
it can go the other way as well, because siblings can also hinder children, can hinder parents' gatekeeping.
Yeah, like it's never my turn to play.
I've seen the elder one. Oh yeah, I'll keep an eye. And then he grabs it, and then I was just showing him what to do, and then he ends up playing it.
Well, we're going to head back to our Facebook Live because we have this final question. How do we draw the line between screen time and playtime? We want to address to our studio guests. So come and join us on facebook.com/1FM913. I am learning so much from, Prof Jhee as well as Adeline, and I'm going to be trying these.
Wish I had this discussion a few years ago, to be honest with you.
That's the thing. I have 3 boys, right? But when it comes to parenting and all these things, I am still learning.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, honestly.
It's ongoing, isn't it? I remember watching The Social Dilemma. I'm sure you guys have really been well versed in that. That was a big, scary moment. That was a kind of an epiphany. I guess I kind of knew about it, but when I saw that, it made me quite concerned. What did you feel about that?
I don't have to watch it to know it.
Yes.
I kind of experience it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
with your own kids?
No, as in my work, in my line of work and things like that. Yeah, so it can be scary. But typically my message when I speak to parents out there is that see this as tools.
Okay.
If you wield it wisely, correctly, it can actually benefit.
Sure.
Yeah. If you don't really monitor it and all that, or you use it for other negative purposes, then it doesn't help.
Yeah, just like a knife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great for cooking, not good for stabbing people. It's true. But I want to know this. I mean, we talked a little bit off air before we got you guys, for the interview, that you've even done a study about digital device usage for older kids as well. Is there anything you can share about what you found?
How do we help us?
Yeah, because I got older kids, and you've always had this problem, right, Shehzad? Because in the primary school, they actually require the students to use a digital device.
Our kids actually happen to go to the same primary school, and it's about to hit your kids.
Really?
P4 onwards.
They don't like go another year.
Where they kind of make you bring the iPad in, and it's become an issue where now I have my own iPad, and there was my son was coming back late from school. We found out that he was going to the mall, tapping into the Wi-Fi, and then watching his YouTube and stuff. So again, secretly, I'm quite impressed with his resourcefulness. But as a parent, I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. So so when you talk about the older kids, I assume you mean like upper
teens?
primary teens and things like that.
Yep.
So in my study, I found that as so there are various parental practices. So one of them is what we term as gatekeeping. Lots of rules and regulations and all that.
Okay.
It works for the younger kids, but as they get older, you should learn to release it.
Yeah.
But during those years where there are lots of rules and regulations, it's time for parents to actually convey their value system to the child.
Right.
Why and how they should use it. Okay. A few other tips. Parental modeling is important. So when I interview kids, and they will say, mommy and daddy say, don't use digital device during mealtime, but then look, they are using it,
He's
and
right.
stuff like that.
He's
so
right.
that's one tip I share with parents as well.
Okay.
You should model.
Use it the way that you want them to use it.
it. and all that.
Okay.
Starts with us.
Yeah.
So how do you think we can not use our digital devices, Shehzad?
It has been actually. My kids have used it against me. I'll be honest. Not so much at the dining table, but just generally I do tend to use it, for lots of different things, and my kids have picked up on that.
So what you're saying, Prof Jhee, is that there's no compromise, even for you, Adeline. If you want your kids to be using the device in a certain way, you have to model that same behavior. Lead by example.
Yeah, because the kids are watching and they notice stuff like that.
Oh man, I thought they were watching the screen.
Exactly, that's the point.
Oh, man, no. One great question we have is, how do we draw the line between screen time and play time? You did mention at the start of the interview, some parents, they approach it differently when it's more functional, unlimited time. But when it comes to like games or whatever, it was like, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's it. So what are your thoughts on that?
So when you talk about playtime, you're referring to screen playtime or outdoor playtime?
Oh, God, I'm thinking of digital playtime lah, screen time, playtime. But what do you have, based on your observations, even if it's outdoor playtime? Share on that, yeah.
Okay, so for my PhD research was on how parents actually manage children's video gaming behavior. Okay, so
I can learn a lot
games?
from you. Of course, not now though. It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I found from my study and actually my work and interactions with a lot of parents is parents actually want to allow their child some recreational video gaming time.
Yeah.
But they don't really understand the video game play scene.
Yes.
Okay, so for example,
Guilty.
some video games you need to like gather. So I play a video game. Okay. For research purposes.
Of course, we were expecting nothing less.
Okay.
Thank you for taking that sacrifice on.
True for research purposes?
She's also doing it too for the sacrifices these two have made for the greater good of humanity and society.
Thanks for putting it
Yes,
that way.
thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you for your service. Yeah, sorry.
So some video games you need to rally a group of people to complete a quest or task.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
So for example, I take 15 minutes to rally this group. I need to find a warrior, a magician, and healer and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then I go through the quest, right? Fight, very long. And then finally meet the big monster
At the end.
At the end, right? And then suddenly, this happened to me. My wife turned around and said, "Stop playing. Go and change the diaper." Wow, I tell you, it was like I felt like
embarrassing, huh?
it's a social responsibility to the
whole.
Oh, you're letting down the rest of the team.
Yeah. So it was really interesting because sometimes we discover when kids do that, sometimes they're not angry with the parents, but because they are in the heightened mode of playing, they turn around and they may retort sharply and say, "No, cannot," or something like that. So parents will think, "Hey, walao, so rude to me," and things like that. Yeah. So one of the things is to understand, and sometimes parents will say, I actually allow 1 hour every day on a weekday for them to play.
Okay.
But some quests take 5 hours. So when parents realize that and say, "Oh, why not I change it this way? 5 hours on a weekend." And then you can actually complete the quest.
Right.
Is that fair, you think?
I mean, some parents feel that that's doable. That means rather than 1 hour on 5 weekdays, I give the 5 hours on a weekend.
It points out about understanding the gaming itself.
Yeah.
Wow, I would be the favorite parent of the year if I gave my kids 5 hours on the weekend.
Well, I'm going to start first by doing the same sacrifices as Adeline.
You'll do some research.
Yeah,
Okay,
I better
okay.
spend 5
Got
hours
it.
researching on the game itself. Okay, anything to add with it, for yourself, especially because of your early childhood education experience? Don't start the kids that early, even if it's for recreational.
Do you feel like, just to tap onto this, do you feel like addiction is a strong word to use for kids if they get into digital stuff too early? Is that too strong a word? Is it a loaded word?
Actually, the word addiction is quite loaded, even in academia. So
interesting.
So
what do you say?
So some academics will use the term problematic. For example, problematic usage and things like that.
Okay.
Or some will say as
Super love.
pathological. Super love.
Super love, no? Okay.
So or pathological usage and stuff like that.
Okay.
So largely it is based on damage to what we term as occupational functioning.
Okay.
For example, if you're a child, right, at that age, your main occupation function is, for example, social development as well as largely here also academic development. So any usage that damages those things will be termed as problematic usage.
Okay.
So
that's a really, really interesting point, and I think we need to share with our listeners on air about this whole idea of addiction, how it's kind of a dirty word, even in academia. Yes. So we're going to head back on air as we conclude this great discussion here on The Brightside. Come and join us.
With 1FM 91.3 with Who Knew that the word addiction is actually a bit of a loaded word in academia when it comes to digital usage, or actually many things, I guess.
Could you reiterate the points that you shared with us on Facebook Live about this?
Yeah, so what we look at is damage to occupational functioning. So whether some will use it as addiction, some will use it as problematic usage, pathological usage. So as a child, you typically have two main occupational functioning. That means you need to function well in the social side. You need to function well in academics.
Okay.
So some of the questions. So for example, I use a problematic video gaming skill. Some of the questions I ask would be things like, as a result of video gaming, have your grades suffered, or as a result of video gaming, has your do you feel like you don't like to study and things like that?
Okay.
As a result of video gaming, this is a very interesting one. Have you taken money from your parents without permission to sustain? Or as a result of video gaming, have you neglected social time with your family and things like that?
Right.
So these are the items that typically we use to measure whether it is damaging the functioning of the child.
But I think that's really great. The way that you've kind of like clarified the whole thing also helps parents to narrow in on the possible problems they're facing because of, over gaming.
Yeah, so these are some things that parents can watch out for, whether as a result of video gaming, certain things were compromised and all that.
Before we go, I mean, Adeline, is there any final thoughts, conclusions from this study that you'd like to bring into this and mention?
Yes, I think parents should employ devices as educational assistants and not educational substitutes.
So they must still be involved in the child's development. That's what you mean.
Important.
But when I supervise my kids, right, and I use it with them, I end up doing the thing because they, like my 5-year-old takes too long to answer the question. It's very bad. I'll be like, never mind, I help you.
So it's a test for you, lah.
Yeah. So my child is like, hey man, I actually know the answer. Or I want to learn, right? Yeah. I'm involved. Very involved.
It's good.
Any other?
Sorry, go on. Yeah, sorry. You were saying any other thoughts on this?
I think Prof Jhee can continue.
Yeah, I think largely in all my talks, I tell the parent to journey with the child in the digital device usage. I have an interesting story to share about video games. I have a parent who allowed the child to play a particular video game at the initial stage because he looked, very interesting, you just go in, buy a hat, choose which hat to use and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But lo and behold, as a child, so the parent only watch at the front part. But as the game develops, I think as the game develops, you level up, right? You open up levels, okay? And then he was surprised at a certain level. The child, which is a primary school kid, was actually talking to strangers. And strangers was asking the girl, hey, can you, do you want to take drugs? Do you want to go to a hotel and things like that?
Oh my goodness.
Parents have to journey with the child, not just, look at the game at the first instance and say,
and then think it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine. But games have,
you never know how it goes.
Levels up and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
so
really
journey with the
scary.
child.
This is I'm not sure people necessarily think about that. They think, it'll be just at one level. I don't know that much about gaming, but I kind of knew where this was headed. And so maybe it's something that we should be a bit more aware about. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. No iPad. I'm hiding the
Go to the
charger.
other extreme
I'm just
now.
going to let it die and
right.
then, bury it. But thank you so much to Prof Jhee as well as Adeline coming here today, taking on this huge topic and sharing it with us. I think our listeners have learned so much. Is there any way that we can follow with your studies? Maybe if we wanted to get in touch with you, any websites, social media to share?
I mean, we have soon. We're hoping to publish our study.
Ooh.
So
great.
once that is it'll probably be on some website somewhere. But at this point in time, we don't know yet.
Okay. So I guess the best way to meet Prof Jhee is on that game that he plays, and then be part of his mob.
I stopped already.
Oh, you stopped
I
already?
really use it for research.
He had to go change diapers and stuff. Remember, he's done. He's done.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, continue the good work, and maybe we'll have you back in the studio to share more from your findings. Thank you so
Guys,
much.
thanks so much. Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
Oh, come on! 1FM 91.3.